Welcome, everybody. I'm Mark Wigley, the Dean of the School. Welcome to this very, very beautiful day. This is a historic moment because this is the first time that the real estate students get wet with everybody else. And for me personally, and I think for the leadership of your program, this is a hugely symbolic moment when the real estate program joins with all of the other graduates of Columbia University at the leading edge of a new generation of brilliant leaders for the future. So it's emotionally, technically, legally, everything different than it's ever been before. I think it's especially nice that the history of the leadership of this program is also with us, with Hank Bell, who's in his 2,422nd year in the program, getting stronger by the minute. John Livingston, who was your key leader as you got underway with this whole new curriculum, and is a very important leader in your program and in New York City, and therefore in your world. Vishaan Chakravarti, who is your uber dynamic leader. If anything, he's irritatingly good. If he could just turn it down a little bit, it would make it easier for everybody else. Fantastic program. The really good news is that I'm not going to talk to you. You have an absolutely brilliant guest speaker. But again, just to say this one thing, that when I started to become Dean of the School was about 7 years ago, and already at that moment, one of my visions was that there would be a day that the real estate program would stand side by side with all of the other programs in the university, not just within the School of Architecture, but alongside the business school, philosophers, the anthropologists, the doctors, the lawyers, absolutely everybody else, standing proudly at the very front line of a whole new generation of Columbia graduates. This required a whole new program to accomplish, a whole new sense of leadership, but also a whole new kind of student, and you really are that new species. And in a certain way, as you know, what makes the School of Architecture, Planning, Preservation unique is that we are not simply the only program in the world in which almost every specialty with regard to the built environment is present, but in each and every case, we reorganize the professional expertise. In other words, our interest is not simply how to teach you to be brilliant real estate developers, but to invent whole new forms of real estate development. This is not a trade school. This is a research university. This is about developing entire new forms of leadership. This means that the whole school now depends on the new ideas that are coming from your program. Already, with the brilliant work, for example, when 7 of your students went with 7 of the architecture students and became this dynamic team, your program is in a whole new place. I was lucky enough the other day to see 7 or 8 of your students present their case study project. An amazing team, an amazing presentation. If I was a real victim, like running the planning of the city or making permissions or doing planning, I would have no chance against this proposal. This was absolutely top-notch financially, in terms of presentation, in terms of design. It was a seriously dangerous proposal, as befits a cutting-edge school. And what has often been a dream in the school, that the real estate program be the hottest program in the school, has become a reality. And I really want to thank the students for having kind of gone through the bumps that are associated with getting a whole new program underway. And we especially want to hear from you now, your feedback on how Vishaan and John, myself, Hank, Danielle, and everybody else could re-energize the program. Remember that the thing about degrees is that they're retroactive. The more we improve the quality of your program, the more it will appear that you graduated from an even better program. So feed your suggestions in, because 10 years from now, nobody will believe that somebody with your abilities was able to get into the program. And you should just sort of quietly smile that obviously your strengths are somewhat secret, and point to the amazing deals that you've done over the recent years, deals that have a character and a shape quite unlike those of your predecessors, and with a set of partners quite unlike those that you've had before. Anyway, a warm round of welcome for Vishaan Chakravarti, an absolutely brilliant leader of your program.
Thank you, Mark. It is to the Dean that we owe a tremendous amount of gratitude. It's his determination on a daily basis that makes this program better, makes our school better, makes our entire university better. So much of what we've accomplished this year could not have been possible without the Dean, so I just very much want to thank Mark Wigley. Good afternoon, graduates, families, friends. Thank you for sharing this great milestone with us today. Graduation is so often misconstrued as a departure from a school, a departure from a city, a departure from a youth that separates us from our upbringings and our families. Today I'd like to posit that we're actually not experiencing a departure, but a homecoming. A very wet homecoming, but a homecoming to be sure. For me, at a personal level, this is without question true. You are my first graduating class, and we've been through very many things together. Lots and lots of highs, a couple of small bumps along the way. But you will always be very special to me and hold a special place in my head and my heart as you're my first class. For me, you will be the foundation of my new home at Columbia University. For you, it is a homecoming as well. You're the first graduating class in the program's history, as Mark mentioned, to graduate with the rest of the university and the rest of the school. You are now part of a larger symbolic home, a home that exists worldwide through our alumni and our Studio X networks, and a home on Morningside Heights that will always embrace you when you return from your travels, be they from Midtown or Michigan or Mumbai. Whenever you walk onto this beautiful campus, you should always know that it defines a place that will be home for you always. And beyond the symbolism of ceremonies and campuses, this is a homecoming for our entire program. It has been the year in which we brought the real estate development program home to its roots in one of the best architecture and planning schools in the world. It has been a year in which we refashioned the curriculum into a structure that reflects the three pillars of entrepreneurial real estate investment, namely an intensive financial curriculum, a legal and political curriculum, and a physical and technological curriculum that can only be top tier in a top tier architecture school. On that note, it has been a year in which studying the physical side of development has progressed to the point where we, for the first time, as Mark mentioned, launched an experimental, interdisciplinary, international effort to have real estate and architecture students working together to do groundbreaking work, in this case in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Next year, we're going to look to expand the scope and the numbers of students in this crazy experiment, with the potential for real estate projects occurring in Rio de Janeiro, Beijing, Mumbai, and other exponentially growing urban laboratories of the world's fastest growing economies. As you return year after year or get occasional email updates about the constant experiments we'll be undertaking here, you may be awed by or even skeptical of the changes that we will be implementing in your new home, such as the hiring of new faculty, the establishment of a career services office, or creating new spaces dedicated to teaching, research, and alumni conferences and education in real estate. This is why we implore you to stay involved as we evolve. We welcome your input as we strive to make your new home the best place possible, housing the finest real estate development program in the world and making your great degree ever more valuable. In fact, I'm glad to announce today that in June, we will hire a major branding and graphics team whose sole mission will be to far better communicate this extraordinary program to the industry, to prospective students and employers, to alumni, and to the rest of the academy. We will remake all of our communications collateral, from our website to our brochures to our social networking media, for those of you who have never heard of the word paper. Now, I'm betting in the audience there are parents and other family members who are thinking of their home in a different way. They're thinking, with this economy, will these kids ever leave my home? Will I ever get my study back? Basically, they want a home leaving, not a homecoming, right? I am also certainly very sympathetic with the graduates who think, will I be able to build homes? Will I be able to afford the home that I desire? As you now leave Columbia, you are in no doubt concerned about the headwinds before you. These are challenging times, but for most indications, the worst is passing. For those of you who've still been unsuccessful in your job hunt, after all, you can visit Greece this summer for very little money. And when you return, Jobs will come, I assure you. Jobs will come. And then a much harder period will come when you must choose among jobs and trajectories because you will be among the most sought-after professionals in the world. Whether the recovery is here or double dips, whether we enter our next big boom period only to crash again, over the longer span of your lives as people and professionals, today's challenges will gain perspective. The relevance of the crises the world puts before you is only meaningful in terms of how you strategically respond, what you learn, and how you grow. It is trite but true to say these are the times that gird us for the hard times yet to come and make us wary when exuberance becomes irrational. And in the end, we face far greater challenges than this particular economic downturn. The challenged world you now enter is also your new home, and it needs your stewardship. As we've discussed time and time again, our world is growing at a rapid pace and is witnessing changes that impact all of us, be it oil spills, currency collapses, terrorism, or health scares. Beyond the noise of all of that, I've tried to impress upon you what I believe to be the central challenge of our times, the challenge that led me to this profession, the challenge that will inform all that you do. And that challenge, simply put, is growth. Our world is careening towards a population of 9 billion people by 2050, and with widespread poverty on the decline, that's poverty on the decline, in countries like Brazil, India, and China, we are facing a prosperous urban growth curve that will be built by a massive, growing real estate industry worldwide. In many ways, that is very good news for us. How we as Americans and New Yorkers compete is a different question. How do we build what the prosperous world is seeking, which are dense, green buildings and skyscrapers with modern infrastructure and attractive urban environments that serve them? This will be the central challenge of our teetering tax base, our murky political system, and our very way of life. And as we look nationwide at a failing suburban landscape, as we look at Phoenix and Vegas and ex-urban California, we realize that these sprawling locations, unlike our most dense cities, are experiencing much higher rates of foreclosure, much higher rates of unemployment, much higher rates of energy use, and even much higher rates of obesity as our healthcare costs skyrocket. We must confront the challenge of how we build a smarter nation in a more prosperous, more competitive, more crowded world, and we as developers should lead and prosper from that discussion. The vast majority of you will go out and build cities. To be sure, planners may plan them, architects may design them, bankers may finance them, but you are the builders of tomorrow, and as such, with that comes a special responsibility, a special compact with the world. As job opportunities expand, some of you may be tempted to build more sprawl, more cul-de-sacs, more strip malls that render all of our countryside banal, our economy vulnerable, and your own investment shaky. Instead, consider a different path, one that breaks from that herd and leads to more success because it mirrors the demographic trends of this world. The hard skills you learned here will be crucial for such decisions, but far more significant will be whether we taught you the critical thinking it takes to see value where no one else sees value. This is, of course, the hallmark of men like Mark Holliday, Steve Roth, Stephen Wish, and John Mechanic, all of whom spoke to us this semester about breaking from the herd to create value for their cities and for themselves. Consider when Mark Holliday told us of his shift away from Class B suburban office product to Class A urban office product, a shift that has not only led to great success for him, but led to a better city and a better world. I can therefore think of no better way to close our years together than with a keynote address from my friend Marianne Tai, who has built one of the most successful careers in this industry by continuously breaking from the herd, by bringing fresh ideas to her clients and her city, and by being a paragon of integrity in a world in which trust is the essential commodity. The Wall Street Journal has written, "There is an exceedingly small club of women who have managed to move to the top. That club's most prominent member is Marianne Tai. The New York Observer just named her the 7th most powerful real estate executive in the city. Crane's New York Business has named Marianne the 3rd most powerful businesswoman across all industries in New York City. And the New York Post placed her number 4 on their most influential women in New York list, saying, New York, it's her kind of town, literally. Indeed it is, from the revitalization of Times Square and the rebirth of downtown to the westward expansion of Midtown Central Business District, Marianne has been at the forefront of the transformation of New York skyline during her 26 years in the real estate industry. She has been responsible for a staggering 74.5 million square feet of commercial transactions, and her deals have anchored more than 6.2 million square feet of new construction in New York, believed to be a record in commercial brokerage. Marianne has been CEO of CBRE's New York Tri-State region since 2002. On January 1st of this year, she was also named chairman of the Real Estate Board of New York, the first woman to hold this position in REBNY's 114-year history, cementing her role as a thought leader in our profession. I could go on and on about Marianne's list of accomplishments as well as her own life story because they're so compelling. When I called her and asked if she would grace us here today, she immediately accepted, actually in about 25 seconds. It was amazing. And I knew then we would get the best advice to inspire you and to guide you as you go into those headwinds. I'm also thrilled to announce here today for the first time that Marianne has agreed to serve on our newly formed Industry Advisory Board, which will be chaired by Mark Holliday and will, as an elite 10 to 12 member body of the most senior development leadership in this city, provide us with the unwavering guidance we need as we navigate into the future. So Marianne, for you as well, this is a homecoming. In closing, before I ask Marianne to take the podium, I ask that after you leave this campus, you come home often. Come back with stories of how you, like Marianne, are helping to build a better city and a better world. A world that is not the joyride of earlier this decade, but instead is a world that makes your family, your university, and yourselves proud about the lasting value that you will continue to create. Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. Go get them. I give you Marianne Tai. Thanks very much.
I am so honored to be here with you today. First of all, congratulations to all of you. By virtue of your selection by and graduation from Columbia, you were among the best and brightest in our field. But I'm also delighted to speak with you, and clearly one of the reasons I so readily said yes, because it is very rare to get the chance to speak to 92 lucky people simultaneously. And I believe in luck just the way I believe in perfect pitch or great hand-eye coordination or any of those other unquantifiable but absolutely real traits that the truly gifted possess. Napoleon said that luck was one of the two most important qualities he sought in a general. And if you want to know the second one, when I see you at the faculty building later on, you can ask me what it is. But why do I want to be around lucky people? And that's a silly question, and since you all now have master's degrees from Columbia, you already know the answer. Always seek the company of lucky people, because maybe it will be contagious. So why are you lucky? First, you are so lucky to have been in graduate school during the Great Recession. I know those of you who haven't landed a job yet, maybe you possibly don't see the benefit of emerging from graduate school in the aftermath of a financial cataclysm. But trust me on this, getting hired today is much better than getting hired in the later stages of an upcycle. Today, you have the wind at your back. And by the time the next downturn comes, and you know it inevitably will come, you will have bargained, built, financed, and earned your way to a real estate track record. The Great Recession has given your career room to run. Another benefit of all recessions is that such moments disturb the natural order of things. And where there is disorder, there is opportunity. In my own career, I have found the greatest achievement in disarray. I always love Martha Graham, you know, the dancer choreographer statement. She said, "Fewer horses run well on a muddy track." Then too, it's hard to learn skepticism in a bull market. But the committed belief that something can go wrong in a deal is a key to lasting success in our business, probably in any business. Optimism gets you into deals, but it's skepticism that will enable you to come out a success on the other side. When the market is on a tear, it's very easy to believe, and believe me, I've heard this repeatedly, there's a new paradigm, or whatever the catchphrase of the moment is, to deny the inherent cyclicality of real estate. But if you are fortunate enough to enter the real estate industry in a down cycle, as I did, you will find that a suspicion of euphoric highs stays with you forever, and it will serve you well. Of course, you're lucky because you got into Columbia, and you got training at a great institution in a great city. Two things that Columbia and New York City have in common: an insistence on excellence and a ready embrace of talent. At Columbia, as Vishaan was saying, you had extraordinary access to our industry's best professionals. And that exposure to deep and crafty real estate thinkers, people who were able to execute their ideas, that exposure is precious. I promise you that in the midst of a problem, and by the way, the surefire way to know that you're advancing in your career is when more and more problems keep coming to you, till finally one day you reach a point where the only thing that ever comes to you is problems and requests for charitable contributions. And then you will know you've arrived at a certain place. But anyway, whenever you are in the midst of a problem, you will recall some pearl from Mark Holliday or Steve Roth or any of the other industry leaders with whom you studied. And that pearl will be, to use a Harry Potter term, and this place has reminded me of Harry Potter from the moment I walked in, to use the Harry Potter term, it will be the port key that leads you through the maze. Coming out of Columbia, you're also going to be among the first real estate professionals to engage our business from a global perspective. The day-to-day reality of real estate remains local, local, local. But the capital and the competition is now global, as is the universe of best practices and good ideas and the talent that travels with it. Your luck also resides, as Vishaan said, in the projections on New York City, the nation, and global population growth. If you're in the business of housing people and giving them venues to work, play, and shop, then there's nothing sweeter than the momentum created by favorable demographics. How fortunate for you that exponential population growth will make our industry more relevant in the coming decades and more challenging. Finally, you are so lucky because you have command of technology. And ours is a business that has been and will continue to be transformed by technology in so many of its manifestations, whether it's virtual design delivery from the building information modeling to the role of social networking in marketing. And by the way, very practical, technology will give you access to the senior levels of whatever firm hires you. You want to be the go-to guy for somebody at your new place of business? Just become his or her technology coach. Do it with respect. Obviously, you don't want to say, "What? You did what?" Do it with charm, and above all, do it with relevance. I promise you, it will be a winning asset trade. So, your new career is born under a lucky star. How do you convert that favorable augury into success in real estate? In my experience, you need three things to succeed in real estate: expertise, resources, and power. Now, I'm betting, looking at you all, that you're filled with expertise at this moment, and that you don't have a whole bunch of resources unless you come from private wealth. And you probably have no power in real estate, but I may be too pessimistic on this, so don't take it the wrong way. Certainly your Columbia experience alone has given you an ample supply of expertise, and my only advice here is, as soon as is practicable, make yourself the master of one small piece of our industry, no matter how arcane. It's been my experience that real estate invariably rewards mastery. And once the word gets out that you know this subject in depth, I promise you, opportunity will knock at your door. Now, I do want to say one cautionary note on this, and I'm going to draw from a personal non-real estate example. You just should be careful of the subject you pick to master. My husband is a plastic surgeon, and he began his career as a reconstructive surgeon. And as a resident, he set out to make himself the authority on just one subject, He needed something complex so that he could demonstrate his sophisticated grasp of anatomy, and he also needed a topic that hadn't been exhausted in the literature. So he picked the bottom of the foot. Now this is really a tough subject, okay? It's an area that's packed with nerve endings. It's really a minefield for a surgeon, and anybody who's ever had problems with their feet knows that this is not a simple subject. I can tell you the good news. My husband David succeeded. His articles were published in all the leading journals. He got to speak at all the big conferences. He got called upon for all manner of things. But the bad news was he was famous for being an expert on the bottom of the foot. So my only take-home point is when you pick your area of mastery, just have it in your head. Don't pick the bottom of the foot. Okay. As for resources, unless you were born to wealth, you are reliant on the resources of your employer. Interestingly enough, I've come to believe that expertise and power are much more important than resources, which I know seems like a counterintuitive thought because you can't really accomplish anything without resources. However, if the expertise is there and it is accompanied by power, resources will find their way to your project. Now, I'm a little concerned that this may only be a Manhattan perspective, because I'm going to give an example from our firm. Every so often, our investment sales department sends out a global email to all of our people in CBRU. There are 29,000 of them worldwide. And the email says, in essence, the following: please stop sending us people who want to invest in New York City real estate. We are awash with capital. What we need are properties to sell. And this is absolutely the truth. People are always calling up saying, I've got $50 million I'd like to invest in New York real estate. You go, okay, that's very exciting. Do you have any buildings you'd like to sell? The most recent version of this email was prompted by an onslaught from global investors eager to buy distressed Manhattan properties. The prospects that there might be bargains out there somewhere on the Big Apple skyline produced a deluge of requests. But just as when Christie's or Sotheby's has a work of art of quality to sell, there's no shortage of buyers for ready buyers for Manhattan properties. So the resources component of success is way more nuanced than this, but I do believe in this simple idea. You can always find resources for the right product, bought at the right price, if you present it to the investor or lender with the right strategy and the right financial structure. The money's there. Power, however, is the most elusive of all three of this triad of how to succeed in real estate. It's also the one that's hardest to quantify, except that you know it when it's there. People tend to be very uncomfortable with this word, and I think especially women. It's associated with aggression, with egotism, with the manipulative use of others. And in real estate, it is all those things and more. Power is also the essential ingredient of success in our industry, but today I'm speaking of it only in the most positive sense. And I'm going to define it the way Nat Owings of Skidmore, Owings, Merrill defined it, when he spoke of it as the fifth dimension of planning, the art of getting things done. At the end of the day, power in real estate is the ability to transform expertise and resources into a done deal, bringing your project to successful conclusion. Once you demonstrate you possess this capacity, your career has momentum. And believe me, with momentum, everything is easier. So, how do you build a powerful career? Trust, Sean said it. Trust is the starting point. The gap between idea and execution can only be filled by a series of individuals acting either sequentially or in concert who've elected to trust you. The seller who believes you'll close the deal, the investors and lenders who put up the money, the government officials who sign on, the condo buyer who puts up the deposit, the tenant who executes a lease. Each of them is making a bet that you'll succeed, and their collective wager on your success is because they trust you can deliver. Whenever I show a prospective tenant a rendering of a new or remodeled building, I reflect on the leap I am asking them to make. I'm asking them to bet their company's ability to operate and their firm's balance sheet that this glossy fantasy that I'm showing them will materialize as promised. Only trust makes that possible. How do you build trust in a professional sense? Now, we all know the personal characteristics that are components of trust: honesty, reliability, fairness. These are behaviors that over time engender trust among people. But in a curious way, the standard for trustworthy conduct in a professional sense is more elastic. I'm sure you're not going to be surprised to hear that there are powerful people in real estate who aren't paragons of honesty or reliability, or who don't play fair. Now, I'm a Catholic schoolgirl, and believe it or not, it came as a shock to me that there is a continuum in assessing honesty in business. I always thought honesty was binary. It was true or it was false. But time has taught me how broad a range of spectrum there is on personal qualities. And time has also taught me that if you come up short on the 3 qualities that underpin success, your power will be less, and it will be power that was costly to acquire and really costly to hold on to. Your buildings will lease more slowly, and in some cases, they're only going to lease in a superheated market. No one will sell you an off-market deal. You'll be in constant quest for new, naive lenders and investors, and you'll be denied one of the sweetest parts of a real estate career: long, trusted relationships that blossom into friendships. People are at the heart of power, and given the complexity of 21st century real estate, the need for a diverse professional network is a key to success. Obviously, you have the beginnings of that network in your very class right here. But here I urge you to do something that's very hard and unnatural for people to do, and to me, in large measure, account for why more people don't succeed in the development world. I'm asking you not to default to your comfort zone when picking your alliances. So often, I see people making comfy decisions about their team members because of their bias in favor of loyalty and against confrontation. I wish I had $1 for every time someone said or implied, "I picked Joe because he always has my back." That criteria is perfect for friendship, and it's really bad for business. If you want to be effective, to execute on your plans, you need to be analytical about the skills required to get from here to there, and you need to be relentless in your quest for the right colleagues. We don't learn by staring in the mirror. It's differences that stimulate ideas. 2 of the best people decisions I've seen in recent real estate history involve powerful leaders acknowledging gaps in their own skill set and hiring to fill those gaps. Typically, I don't think any of us associate Steve Green or Steve Roth with personal humility. These are just not traits that spring to mind when you think of them. Yet, both of them made a brilliant hire based on a candid self-appraisal of what they needed to ratchet their company up to an even higher level. Steve Green made Mark Holliday CEO of his company when Mark was 37 years old. I went to the party that Steve gave to celebrate Mark's appointment. And at the party, I always remember this moment, I said to Steve, "Why did you do this now? You're not so old and he's really young. What made you decide to make him CEO at this moment?" And Steve Green said to me, "If I didn't do this now, I was in danger of losing Mark, because I know there'll be opportunities for him. And I know that Mark can take us beyond where I can take this firm on its own." And how right that was. Similarly, when Steve Roth's reason for hiring Mike Fascitelli was based on a recognition of his own limitations, Steve will tell you that he hired Mike because Mike convinced him to pay up for properties. Steve Roth is a brilliant negotiator, but he always had trouble when he didn't feel that he was stealing a deal. With Fascitelli, this is absolutely true, believe me. With Fascitelli, Roth was able to Fascitelli made Roth understand that somehow paying full market price today might be exactly the right way to build Vornado. And again, that's exactly what happened. The whole Penn Plaza dynamic was all Fascitelli. Another part of the people in power equation involves engagement with a larger community. This is very hard, I think, for people who are starting out to realize. But the most pervasive failing I find among professionals is the naive belief that if you're working hard and you're doing a good job, that's going to lead to success in and of itself. Certainly, you have to have focus, you have to have diligence, and you obviously have expertise, and those are all prerequisites. But it's important to look away from the computer screen now and again and engage the larger community. Ours is a unique business in that it is grounded in the community. We're the only industry that can't say, you know what, taxes are too high, we're moving to somewhere else. If we're going to do our business, we're going to do it here. Or whatever community you elect to engage in real estate development in. If you are working in real estate or in a city or town, you owe that community the benefit of your energy in order to build it into a better place. And while this is good citizenship, trust me, it is good business too. There are an infinite number of ways to do this. I urge you to pick your spot, pick it early. For me, it was the Real Estate Board of New York, and it has been one place where I can engage the full dynamics of the real estate in the city. And over the years, I have come to know colleagues in every aspect of real estate in this area, and government officials as well. And you have to believe me, this wide-ranging network of friendships makes every endeavor I undertake in our business that much easier. One more thought. There's a time-tested shortcut to power in any business: finding the right mentor. Nothing pulls you up the power curve faster, gets you to the table sooner, or helps you bypass mistakes more often than a first-rate mentor. However, you will not find a mentor by asking for one. Don't send an email to the mentor of your choice and invite him or her for a cup of coffee. By definition, anyone worth having as a mentor is busy, and unless you have something to offer them, you are just wasting their time and yours. This is where engagement in the larger community comes in. If your chosen mentor sees you on the playing field, committing your time, showing good judgment, placing your energy well, your chance of coming into this individual's sphere is that much greater. And it certainly makes the connection that much deeper. So, last thought before sending you off into the real estate world to make magic. It's been said that the key to a happy life is work worth doing. That you have. Do it well.
Well, I'm afraid we cannot do the visiting speaker at graduation anymore. Everybody would look just terrible. That was magnificent. I just can't help but react. One of my great mentors has been exactly Mark Holliday, and not by accident. Vishaan is the first Mark Holliday professor and director of the real estate program. And I can't remember how it happened. I'm trying to think now, did I call him and ask for coffee? I don't think so. I think we found ourselves side by side. And when Mark Holliday, who is as sharp as can be, decided to literally invest in the future of his own program, this was a decision made with all of the firepower of every other decision he's made. And so when we hired Vishaan in that name, the pressure was on. Vishaan has managed to survive, how long?
7 months.
7 months. But we're still watching. He's doing a great job. Vishaan is going to continue the way in which he's honoring Mark Holliday's extraordinary generosity and leadership by reading the names of the successful victims of his program. Vishaan. And myself and Hank Bell are going to shake the hands of absolutely everybody.
Right. Okay, thank you so much. And I also have to stop and thank Marianne. That was just extraordinary, and I really hope those words sank in and stay with you always. So we are going to now confer the degrees. There is this rotational system. So one row at a time, please. Right, we're going to take a photograph, and then I'm going to start reading the names. Jonathan Agrilius. Oner Akancel. Lurkshavit Asalval Nirandan. Laura Barnhart. Jonah Belkin. Latha Bashkara. Jesse Beagle. Peter Bridgman. Thomas Burns. Jose Bustamante. Drew Butler. Big fan club. Lynn Kai. Owen Callahan. Spiro Cantonis. Yontel Carter. Adam Cassidy. Doruk Selen. Jiayang Chang. Ingrid Che. Samer Sheikh. Shwalita Chong. Michael Chow. Tyler Cooper. Clifford Corral. Millicent Cotto. Hussam El Batal. Oh, I'm sorry, did that. Oh, sorry, Ro Elam. Sorry, he looks like Hussam. Joaquin Fernandez Stearns. David Feinhirsch. Alex Foster. Gabby Franco. Luis Gambertolio. Adam Ganser. Anna Gilcosta. Brian Graybill. Chase Grayson. Natalia Guzman. Angela Harris. Matt Hopkins. Philip Hosbod. Is that right? Winnie Hu. I don't know what happened. Oh, sorry. Miriam Tafik. Brandon Jones. Han Kim. Samuel Klatt. Christopher Kosonen. George Kutnarian. Rakesh Lala. Enrique Lara. Monty Large. Hannah Leonard. Mikhail Levy. Matthew Levine. Mirjam Link. David Lubin. Thomas Lucid. Eduardo Macis. Elad Badani. I'm going to miss you, Peaks. Daniel Mandelbaum. Edward McGrath. Raj Mehta. Dominique Miller. Sean Mirza. John Moran. Jose Moreno. Charles Musgrave. Jeremy Orland. Keonti Park. Ryan Park. Andrew Pearson. Aditya Ram. President Brett Raskin. Gregory Richards. Lee Schaffler. Brian Scher. Michael Cefantes. David Schrow. Keith Smith. Brian Stevenson. Frampton Swan. Brian Tabarocki. Oh, sorry, missed one. Paul Tartuk. Sorry, Paul. Joseph Taylor. Ashley Terrell. Christine Tong. Alexandros Toulias. Rusty Van Zant. Darren Vest. Max Wong. Graduate and new father, Tyler Williams. Which Christiana? Joshua Woodbury. David Zolberg. And last but not least, Michael Zeisman.
So this is the real estate development class of 2010. Woo! Well, there are a few prizes.
So I'm now going to introduce, and I apologize to anyone's name I mispronounced. I have been a victim of that. I know you'll find that a surprise with a last name like Chakrabarty, but people have slaughtered my name in the past, so I apologize if I'd done that. I now would like to introduce Professor Emeritus Hank Bell, a man who needs no introduction, the person who continuously is always brought up. Every alumnus I talk to is the most influential professor they had in their career here. We're very honored to have Hank Bell here tonight to give out the awards. Thank you.
The William Kinney Fellows Memorial Traveling Prize. It goes to John Moran and Lee Shafler. The school.
It's like there's Lee. Where's John?
The school-wide committee on fellowships and awards, Michael Chow and Monty Lodge. The next one, I get to shake the hand. The Hank Bell Entrepreneurial Award goes to Brian Grable.
Congratulations, Brian.
The Oxford Prize, Cliff Corral and Jonah Belkin. The next award is in recognition of the well-researched and crafted thesis. Green Real Estate, Evaluating Private Equity Investment Opportunity, Tom Lucid. The next, the Service Awards for Outstanding Service to the School. Angela Harris. A repeat performance, Jonah Belkin. Joaquin Fernandez Stearns. Next is the Vision in Real Estate Award in recognition of her creativity and commitment to visioning and development class case studies, Winnie Hung. Now for what I consider very special. The Scholastic Performance for the very highest academic performance in the class. Chris Carsonen. We're not done yet. Gregory Richards. And last but not least, Peter Bridgman.
You know, it's an amazing moment. Let me tell you about real estate handshakes. I don't know if you have a class on handshakes, but having done about 500 hands today, I can tell you that the real estate program shakes your hand like things are about to happen. And I'm going to see a chiropractor later. It's a very special class. I mean, I think you have an amazing faculty. You have an amazing director. You have a shockingly good commencement speech, unforgettable. And you have the future, and that future is also our future. And I just cannot imagine a more exciting generation, more talented group. You're multi-dimensional missiles. You're absolutely trouble. You're big-time trouble. I think this is a new generation. This is a new species. You're going to be the leaders. There are going to be other classes that come after you. They're always going to look up to you. You will not only be the first of Vishan's classes, you're really the first of this leadership generation, a new form of real estate development, a new kind of partnership, new kinds of collaboration. I'm not saying new paradigm, because a lot of what's at the heart of this is you're just hardcore. You're just all the way. You're finance all the way, technology all the way, presentation all the way, handshakes all the way. It's an exciting class. It's an exciting time. We hope you stay in touch. We hope you stay very close. But frankly, we're going to know exactly what you're going to be doing. We're going to know it because you're going to do very, very bright things. And the light from those things is going to be everywhere, all the time. You're provoking a lot of jealousy in the rest of the school. A lot. And you deserve it. You totally deserve it. This is the class of 2010.
So I just want to close by thanking the families. I know you've had a very long, wet day. I've heard a number of future real estate developers out in the back of the audience crying a bit. They seem like they're going to be great CEOs someday. The reception, and far be it from us to stand between, you know, right now, right here, and the party, starts at 6:30 over at Faculty House. For those of you who don't know where that is, the easiest way to get there is to go down this gate at 117th Street and cut through SEPA, the School of International and Public Affairs, and it's right there in that courtyard called Faculty House. It's on the 3rd floor at 6:30. Congratulations to you all. It's been a pleasure to see you here. Thank you very much, Mary Ann Tai, for your keynote commencement speech. And we'll see you over at Faculty House. You're graduated.